Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. It's a great time to talk business on Business Express on the Smooth Breakfast with me, Ayokunmi Kekerek. And of course, we're having a great conversation as we always do, which you can be a part of. But first of all, to let you know that we're talking about foreign exchange impact on consumer good firms. And joining me to have this conversation is Callista Chileke. She is a consumer goods analyst at ARM Securities. Very good morning to you, Callista. Great to have you on Business Express.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Alrighty. And to all our listeners out there, you can be a part of the discussion this morning by sending your thoughts in to us on WhatsApp on 0809 440 981. 0809 440 981 is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on YouTube as well. We're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. That's on YouTube. Okay, Kalista, let's get the conversation on the road. And let's start with import duty waiver on key food items. How important do you think this initiative actually is?
I think it's a positive development, but it's actually for a short while, just I think around 150 days,
Mm,
and it could help reduce the pressure on food prices, the pressure that we've been seeing, food inflation going up. To help reduce the pressure on food prices by reducing the cost of production of companies. So when these manufacturing costs are reduced, manufacturers will not see any need to pass down food input costs to the final consumer. Plus, you know how import dependent we are as a country, particularly the consumer goods sector. So this import duty waiver could help to reduce their import cost and possibly reduce the price pressures on consumers.
Now, that is something that we definitely need to see because for those who go to the markets, and I'm pretty sure you have a good idea of the prices of food items in the market right now, we need a break. We definitely need a break. Now,
Yeah.
for that 150-day window, do
Mm.
you think that the impact on the prices of food items is going to be, should I say, strong enough to be felt by Nigerians? I know it's a temporary measure, but at least for that period where there will be some relief, do you think the impact will be really felt by Nigerians, or will it just be a drop in the ocean sort of thing? What do you think?
One thing we should know is that prices don't come down as fast as they go up. So, and it's not just in Nigeria, it's everywhere. So, this policy, I don't expect a dramatic drop in food prices, but they may not just be increasing as fast as they currently are. Do you get? So,
Right.
plus, we should note that this policy is coming just as the harvest season kicks in. So this harvest season should also help to improve food supply and taper food prices just a little. But however, no dramatic drop. No dramatic drop is expected.
No dramatic drop is expected. I'll still keep my fingers crossed in case a miracle actually happens at the end of the day. But let's take a look at some results and look at the quarter two and half year performance for Dangote Sugar. Now, pre-tax loss of 104 billion naira in the second quarter of 2024. Now, it was a pre-tax loss of 49.9 billion in quarter two last year. I mean, 104 this year, 49.9, let's say 50 last year. What's the challenge?
Well, the consumer goods has been facing, significant challenges since the whole FX liberalization policy came into play. And that's what we've continued to see in many of their financials, including Dangote Sugar. Now, for Dangote Sugar is a major producer of sugar in Nigeria. We all know that. But 100% of its raw material, which is sugar, is
Hmm.
imported from back home. And with the exchange rates where it is right now, you can imagine, or you can even see with the figures that you have read out, you can see what that import cost is doing to their bottom line revenue. And that's why we're seeing the loss after tax in their results.
Okay, now still talking about sugar, the last administration had a backward integration program for sugar, which we assume that this current administration will continue. But why hasn't it worked?
The Nigeria Sugar Master Plan, I think, was initiated in 2012, and its aim was to produce about 2 million metric ton of sugar by 2032. So I won't say it hasn't failed or it hasn't worked, because given that we're still in 2024, we still have about 8 more years to go. And there's a planting period for sugar cane before you can even begin to, start producing sugar. But however, there have been some challenges, especially kickbacks from the communities that they want to plant the sugar canes in, and that has, ultimately delayed the plan. But recently they came out and said they are trying to get into the second phase of the plan, of the sugar master plan. So hopefully we should see some progress in the short to medium term very soon. I think I'm hopeful.
Mm, hope,
Mm.
something that we definitely need to hold on to. Now let's move on to Nestle here. Now, quarter two pre-tax loss of 56.4 billion, half year pre-tax loss of 252 billion naira. Now, are they going through similar challenges to Dangote Sugar as well?
Well, I think yes, yes. The story for Nestle is the same as any other consumer goods company. It's also FX issues, inflationary pressures, and these two factors are the major opponents of Nestle, and they're still trying to repay a loan from their parent company, and with the depreciating exchange rate, that has not been easy for them, and it is one of the reasons why they recorded a loss after tax. Just the revaluation of that loan is eating deep into their profits, and of course import costs, because they import their packaging and some of their raw
Mm.
materials.
Okay, so I guess we can also say the same thing for Nigerian Breweries, who had a second quarter 2024 pre-tax loss of 50.8 billion naira, and the same period last year was a pre-tax loss of 50.4 billion. I mean, looking at talking about Nigerian Breweries, of course, they make all sorts of drinks, beers, and so on and so forth, which
Yeah.
in the markets in recent times, a lot of people who consume those drinks have complained at the level to which the prices have skyrocketed. I mean, for some people out there who wants to relax, they go to their favorite bar or their favorite joint, and then they sit down and have a drink or two. But it's difficult to do that these days because those prices have absolutely jumped up. I mean, is that part of why we're seeing these sort of numbers where Nigerian breweries is concerned?
Yeah, so many consumer goods like the Nigerian breweries, they resorted to price hikes just to counteract the effect that FX issues, import cost, inflation has on their revenue. So they have to hike their prices so that at least they can have something to buffer the effect of their expenses. So for Nigerian breweries or all the other brewers as well, they've been under a lot of pressure in the past year, and FX is still the major culprit. So they have import costs, and they also have to service foreign denominated loans, and that is weighing on them significantly. Nigerian breweries also has local loans that they are servicing, and with the current exchange rate, that's not an easy task. But they've come out recently to say they have a plan to raise about 600 billion naira to pay up their foreign currency denominated loans. So
Okay.
that at least they can wipe that off, and it won't continue to impact on them negatively. And I think we will be seeing more plans, more companies in the sector come out to review their plans to adapt to the current harsh environment in Nigeria, harsh business environment, basically.
Okay, thank you for that one, Callista. Now you've referenced the FX issues as one of the biggest problems because for a lot of these companies, they need to import a number of the raw materials that they actually use for their production. I mean, you talked about Dangote importing sugar from
Yeah.
Brazil and all that. Now, are we going to be having these headaches for as long as these companies will continue to import these things? Will we see, should I say, some relief when we can begin to source for those materials right here in Nigeria?
Yes, I believe there has been some attempts at that, backward integration, locally sustained for raw materials, but I don't think that has um I don't think that has shown the benefits that it is supposed to have shown at this point in time. But if we're able to properly source our raw materials locally, there are a lot of Dangote now, Dangote producing sugar. There are a lot of farmers who grow the sugar canes. If they can, patronize them, I think it will go a long way in reducing their import costs. Yes.
Hmm. All right, let me take a message on WhatsApp. This is from Fine, and he says, what can cause a significant drop in the prices of food items is lowering the transportation cost of these items. And outside that, I don't see any miracles happening. And that's what Fine is saying this morning, that if transportation costs do not come down, then hmm, not seeing anything really changing. And of course, we
Mm.
know how transportation costs actually contribute to the high price of not only food items, but a lot of things in Nigeria, really. So, Callista, I just need to ask you this one. Are you in the camp that sees inflation peaking? And if yes, will that bring some relief to the consumer goods sector? I mean, it needs to catch a break sometime.
Um, yeah, we expect a slowdown in inflation on basis of base effect from last year, but on the part of whether it will bring some relief to the consumer goods sector. I think the major problem of the sector is the FX actually, because for inflation they
Hmm.
can always increase their prices, pass down the cost to the consumer. So are the ones going to suffer it. But for them, FX is something they have to face head on. So we've seen the CBN put in various policies to try and stabilize the exchange rate, and eventually, when that happens, it should be able to push these consumer goods firms into profit. Many of them recorded losses, just like we've discussed, as a result of a depreciating exchange rate. So if that can be curbed, then I guess it would be a much smoother ride for the sector.
All right, all right, all right. Now, as far as the stock markets is concerned, what's your outlook on the share price of the companies that we've looked at today? We've talked about Dangote Sugar, we've talked about Nestle, we've talked about Nigerian breweries as well. What's your outlook?
Well, if you look at these companies, they've been in operation in Nigerian environments for years. So I'll believe that they have, strong fundamentals to be able to operate in this Nigerian climate. So for investors who are looking for long term, who are looking for to stay in the market for a long term, I
Hmm,
think that they are sustainable. Investing in these shares in these stocks are sustainable, given that they will eventually we're optimistic about the sector, right? So eventually they will escape the woods. But if you are looking for a short-term investment, maybe 1 to 5 months, then I don't think that they are the best choice for you.
okay. And just to round up the conversation, what about your view on the consumer goods sector as a whole on the Nigerian exchange?
Well, I believe that they're going to continue with their upward price adjustments, to bolster their revenue. But FX issues are still going to persist in the medium to long term until that can be resolved. Well, I think the consumer goods sector is in for a long ride.
In for a long ride, but we hope that that long ride is not as long as some people are actually thinking it's going to be. Thank you so much for joining me, Callista. I've been talking with Callista Chileke. She is a consumer goods analyst at ARM Securities. It's been great talking to you, as always, on Business Express.
All right, thank you. Bye.
All right, have a great, great Thursday morning. Thank you all for being a part of Business Express on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. The Smooth Breakfast will continue. There's more great music coming up for you. 7:30. Just a quick reminder, we'll be getting into the world of the headlines in the papers on Freshly Pressed.